Hey, what's up guys? Today we've been getting a lot of questions of when would you use a material ID and what's the purpose of alpha channel. So today we're going to do a brief coverage of what you can do with those two specific things, alpha channel and a material ID. So here we have a basic scene set up with the windows and a couple walls, and we're just going to go to your options, and for this specific we want, let's say, reflections, refractions. Let's do a raw GI, raw light, and our course, our material ID, our render ID, our Z depth, because we'll show you guys how to give some perception of everything. So raw reflection, actually we want to turn off raw reflection. Raw refraction, and that's about it. Okay, well, we just pretty much basic materials, random, and ID, and our render ID. So let's wait till the render's done, and we'll see what we can do. Open Photoshop in the meantime. Okay, so our render was done, and again, all our channels are up here. We can go screw them: alpha, Z depth, material ID, raw GI, raw light, raw reflection, refractions, and render ID. So again, we'll save them all. And once that's done, we can close this down. And I already have Photoshop open, and you can see we have 3 different things we're going to apply. And so what now I want to do is open. So we could see it's reverse. Pretty much want everything. So test raw reflection, refraction, and Z depth. Okay, so we have everything open, and here's our original render. First thing you guys want to do, in case you guys want to change this background, is that here we have this alpha channel. So in order to change the background, you want to go to select, load selection, and here we see it says document, which is our test, and it tells you, well, which channel do you want to load it with. So we want to use the alpha, and we want to invert it. Click OK. So now you can see that our background is highlighted. And we click delete. Make sure you rename your layer first, or else it won't do it. And we click delete. And you can see now that our background got erased. Now, the good thing about this is now we have something to place on there. And you might want to think, well, if we bring in anything, it's not going to do it. Well, again, we go to this image, hold V, we'll drag it into here. And you can see that even when we play around top, it's not form-fitting to our scene. And we could drag it. So we could drag it and drag it and drag it and drag it, but it's not going to fit. Now, because this image is an example, it's really, really huge. So let's see if we can shrink that down. Yes, it's really huge. Shrink it to about there, a little more. I think that's fine. There we go. Okay. Okay, so what you guys want to do is, since we loaded an alpha channel, we can pretty much make it so that the background follows only our building. So the same thing as you guys want to do is you guys want to go to select, load selection, and we'll do alpha once again. This time it won't invert. And we'll click OK. So you can see our building is highlighted. And we'll go to our layer where we made the building. We'll click down here where it says add layer mask, and you can see that we got a layer mask. Now I'll hold Control I, and we just inverted our selection. So you want to unlink them. So now we can move our sky anywhere, and it doesn't mess with our building. Now of course our sky is a little too dark for this scene, so we could go to image, adjustments, brightness and contrast, and here we can adjust it more so to match our scene. Here's the contrast, and now that's how you choose your alpha layer to pretty much change everything in there. Another example of using the alpha layer is if we bring in this right here. Again, you can see we have this giant texture, which is a dirt map that we probably want to just add it to our building. So we can do a layer, again, select, load selection, select your alpha, click OK, and then we click load layer mask, and you can see it adds the dirt to it. So we could reduce the opacity. You can see we don't want dirt on the ground or certain parts of the building, so what we can do is, while we have our layer mask selected, click the brush tool, and then we can start coloring in here. We want to change it to black, so press X, and you can see we start coloring in, and we can start removing some of this dirt, and it's a bit rough, but get the picture. Now in order to get smoother edges, you probably want to reduce your opacity, and then we can start going over the walls, down here, and up here, and again, down there. And this is a good way to add a little bit of dirt to an otherwise really strong material. So that's another way that you could use your alpha channel to select this. Now the one thing they were questioning about was our, where's it at, render ID, no, material ID. So they're asking, well, how can we use this material ID? Well, one of the best ways to use the material ID is we could basically use it as a way to select the windows, perhaps. So let's drag this building back into here and hold shift and let it go. So now we have our material ID, which we can turn off at any point. But say we wanted to add a reflection to our windows. So what you guys want to do is we could do a zoom in. So we could do a magic wand. Oh, my bad. Let's do a quick selection tool. And we could select that. You can see right away that it's selected everything which is the same color or tone pretty much. So once we have all that selected, then we could bring in, say, our trees. So when we do a V, drag it to test. So we see we have them here. And again, trees are pretty humongous. For now, let's do a Control D, and let's shrink down our trees a lot. A little more, probably. That's about right. So again, turn that off. And another thing is that we can do is we can actually create paths so that we always select our windows. So to do that, you want to go into your quick selections again. Select that, that, that. And we just made it a new path. We click OK. So now we're here. So you want to go back into our layer with the palm trees, and then we're just going to click layer mask again. And turn this off, and you can see that we have our layer mask set up to this window. So if we move the palm trees around, first unlink them because we don't want this to change our mask, and you can see we can move them around and they're only restricted to the window. So of course they're a little high. We can reduce the opacity, and you can see here that we begin to see very striking reflections. Again, like the last tutorial we saw, we could bring in our reflections right here. So this is our raw GI, which is the light inside. So again, let's bring that in. Oops, sorry. So we have our raw reflection here and our raw refraction. So we could bring in our, where's it at? Oh, okay. Where is that? Raw reflection. Where'd it go? Oh, there you go. Raw GI. So again, we're gonna bring this in. Again here. Oh, don't forget to hold shift. So where's it at again? Raw GI. So we set it to soft light. So now we have a way to control how much of the inside we see. So we can lower this opacity. We can make it brighter. You can see that our inside is actually showing now. So we'd set it to 0. We don't get as much, but I think around 20%. And you can see our inside. So let's build a little higher. And right there we could see our inside. We have our palm trees, our dirt. And again, we could do say we want to increase the reflections. But we only want to increase the reflections on our building. But there's a way we can do that. So again, we want to bring this in to the test, hold shift, let go. So we already have a layer mask here for the windows, and we just want to apply it to this. So what we want to do is we want to right click, and it says, oh, make sure I got it. You want to hold Alt, and you could drag it up here, and it'll add it to this. So you can see now that it's only going to add it to our windows. So again, we hold Control Z. If we hold Alt on the layer mask, then we could drag it to anything. So we can add it to pretty much everything. So we add it here, and now we can reduce the opacity. Oh, that was the wrong one. So our reflection is way too high. So we can start messing with this reflections and everything. Another cool thing that we didn't cover in the last one is Z-depth. Well, we covered how to make things pretty much light gradient in and out, but we could do this. We could do a way where we could blur objects according to this. So let's cover it over to TIFF. Hold B. So you can see now it doesn't seem like it's much. So again, we have our Z depth here, so we want to do a overlay, but you can see it's not really doing much to this, so we don't want that like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do like that, and we'll copy this layer. So duplicate, right click, duplicate, call it Z depth, and we'll drag it to the top. So we see we have a little more cool stuff going on here. Well, we'll put it here, only completely to obstruct. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our Z depth again, but here is a layer mask. So we'll click layer mask, go to channels, and here we have our Z depth. Click it on. Now we'll go back to our Z depth, Control A, Control C, back to here, copy into this, turn it off now. So we have it here now. So click on the layer mask, and we're going to go to filter, blur, lens blur. And what this is going to, oh, not there, here. Filter, blur, lens blur. So you can see it's really dramatic right now, but we click here. What it basically does is the Z-dip tells the system how far an object is. So if we click here, it'll change our focus to this area, which is what would happen in real life if you were to take a real picture of this. So we want to say we click up here. So over here we can increase the distance, it blurs, so we don't want, you know, positive numbers, so we want it around there. Okay, that's good. And then we can also change how it blurs. We could do the radius, so it has a greater influence. And we can also change how much it's gonna blur. And here we have other things. So you want it more accurate, and then we can click OK. So now you can't really see it, but if we do an overlay and we move it up to the top, you can kind of see that this side on the left is a little blurrier. So here we have it. Cool. We'll change it to normal so you guys can see the difference. So this is a regular and a blur, regular blur. And you can tell there is some. Let's turn these off as well. Okay. This is our regular one, our blurry one, and this is our regular one. So you can see the difference. No blurry, blurry, not blurry, blurry. So we can turn everything back on, except this. And now we want to set this one. And our reflections are getting lost here, so let's go back to our tree. Then we want to probably change the opacity a little higher. And there we go. So there you have it. Using our render ID, we can select areas specifically to actually alternate. Another example would be, for say we wanted to add just dirt to this specific side or to the right side, then we could do that. You would again pick this side, you do your quick selection tool. Oh, it's everything selected. So you can see that, well, in this case you want to use a magic wand. So like in this example, the magic wand selected everything on this wall. And for example, if we delete this right here, this mask, I just want to delete the mask. Delete. So now that we have that selected, we can see that we only have it selected here. So we click there. Then you can see now that if we zoom in and we increase the opacity by using the ID, only the area of the wall was selected for dirt. So with that, we could tone it down again, and or we have it too high and we want it only on certain pieces. Then you want to use your brush again. Do a white tip, low opacity. So say we want to clean it up right here, or down here. Say here, here. You know, little things like that. And you know, if you think you did too much, you could change it back to white, and you could add it back in there, and you could even add this dirt effect to this whole other thing over here. So it's just a bunch of things you can do. And that was pretty much a basic understanding of what you can do with the different channels. Once you start adding it, for example, Z-depth, we could use it again to change the colors. And we did in the last tutorial, we used the solid color to actually change the hue of the color depending on how far This is an example of using windows, and if for example we have, say, this layer right here, I want to maybe refine it or select where it goes. If you do refine mask, you can actually highlight more areas where you want it to actually include it into. So we want it to bleed over to the side, then we would, click there, or increase our radius. We could smooth out the edges, a little feather, maybe 1 per pixel, and click OK, and this basically refines it drastically. And this is a very awesome way for you guys to experiment with things and start adding some fun and cool things to your textures. So here it's selected, and when you're building, and nothing's, always make a copy. So that was it on mentor IDs. I hope that helped you guys understand what some of these are helpful for.